Anyway, so very good morning to all of you. The idea of having it in a group is to know more about each other, to learn about each other, because generally we all live in silos, and if we can go beyond and do something of this sort effectively, to a great experience. Let me tell you my slight personal story. I taught in three kinds of institutes. The first one is little less than 15 years in BHU, where we had 143 subjects. Then I had the opportunity to teach or rather work as a defense scientist in Indian Armed Forces, where we had more than 92 different subjects. I mean, I was not teaching exclusively, but training the lieutenant generals who are in Indian Armed Forces. And then I had the opportunity to teach over a decade in IIT Kharagpur, where we have got roughly 33 different departments. Why I am saying all this? Not about me. Nowhere we have a subject like this. Nowhere. Never saw something like this, because people often talk about stress management, people often talk about so many other things. But post-retirement from DRDO, I got enticed with this because of two factors. One is Dr. Rekhi himself. I mean, I met so many people in my lifetime. He's one person who could, I was truly influenced by him. And his vision. Of course, you are not influenced by seeing him as a person, his vision. So his vision was great. So I thought that it would be my joy to come and do something for this center, and that's the way I'm here. The second thing is that we have a wonderful team here in IIT Kharagpur. None of us are specialists in happiness. None of us. We all belong to different subjects. My personal field is cognitive neuroscience. I work in functional architecture of the brain. So none of us, I believe, is having happiness as a specialty. But all of us has some kind of mindset towards understanding the subject matter. We all felt that probably is the need of the hour, not really looking at ourselves, also looking at our students. So my effort, of course, will be to tell you what has been the focus of this center, and how as a team we have been trying to organize this course in a organized manner. So Dr. Prof. Patnaik has been running this system, the Center for Science and Happiness, and we are part of the team. And on behalf of the team, what I'm going to speak to you is about how we have structured the course in the last 6 years. He has spoken already that roughly 5,000 students have gone through already. Several of them are getting a salary over 1 crore. Not primarily because taking happiness as a specialty, it gave them a direction in life. So they all admit that after going through this course, they could visualize life in a slightly different manner. And as we always say, that career is within life, life is not within career. Therefore, important for us was to help them understand about life little more, which nowhere it has been taught. Every parent says that, "Beta tumko first and I." And there was a time when parents used to give us life, teachers used to give us career. Today the role has reversed. It appears that the parents are giving more career, and teachers are more accustomed to giving our students a bit of life. We can't give life, students are as good as our children. Therefore, the idea of having a Center for Happiness actually is very contemporary. It has got an element of surprise, and why, I'll tell you. And it has a lot of opportunities for people who would like to do advanced research in the field. And I had the opportunity to do all this. I'll narrate a little bit how I am interested in and how all of my faculty is not here to percolate message about happiness only. We don't do art of happiness. We are no guru. We do science of happiness. The primary reason behind calling it as science of happiness, me and Dr. Rekhi often discuss about it, is that if we talk about art of happiness and if I try to be a guru, I'll have a set of disciples and I'll narrate the same set of principles to everybody. And people may follow and may not follow because there is a wide degree of variations amongst people. One guru, I may like one guru, you may like another guru. So the question is that if we know the scientific principles behind how people become happy, then we would be able to replicate it. The idea of having replication, the idea of having consistency over a period of time, and the idea of having some kind of validation in the whole process through certain exercises become the hallmark of the course. So naturally in very first year when I also joined, post-retirement, I found that everybody was a little sarcastic. क्या फर्क पड़ता है आप लोग, आप तो मिलिट्री से आए हो, आपको happiness से क्या आता जाता है? I mean, people used to even say that, well, your job was to teach people about killer instinct. Today you are talking about instinct for happiness. But point is, people fail to realize that why do we do this science? It's just not trying to be happy. Our idea is to become an ambassador of happiness who can create happiness for others. So even if we are not happy, and if we know how to create happiness, we'll remain among a set of people who are always happy. And if you are happy, I'm forced to be happy. Let me tell you. If you smile in the morning, how are you? I am forced to smile. And that's the reason why we shake hands and smile at each other. That's the reason. Because it's very, very contagious. Happiness is a very, very contagious thing. Very contagious thing. So given all these things, let me tell you how we started. Slide number 1. First slide. There are 4 basic areas, reasons why we call it as a very important science. First of all, it is a transdisciplinary science. The transdisciplinarity means neither interdisciplinary nor multidisciplinary. Interdisciplinary means when we have got different subjects, we share our findings. Multidisciplinary means when we have different subjects, we share our methodology. But transdisciplinary means when we create a new methodology. This is a science not taught anywhere otherwise. So if you have to learn about happiness, you have to learn about physical science, life science, social science, including mathematical sciences, because you need to do modeling. Mathematics and logics, therefore, are called formal sciences. The formal sciences are those sciences which helps us modeling. So we need to model human mind. And that modeling will come through mathematics. The hard sciences like life sciences are absolutely important because without genetics and biology, we teach genetics of happiness here also. We teach neurochemistry of happiness as well here. Without learning biology, it's simply impossible. To tell every part of science which is involved within happiness. So what I mean to say is that when all sciences come together, including social sciences, it becomes a truly transdisciplinary science. So our job would be to create a new methodology with input and inspiration drawn from our individual sciences to which we specialize. And that's the challenge. Therefore, I call it as a transdisciplinary science. My second point is that everywhere we teach, we have a syllabus, we have a content. But happiness is a subject which is context dependent, not content dependent. And I use this phrase often, context, content, and intent. If these three things are there, our learning is always very easy. Very easy. So if you listen to a good song in a good mood, you don't need it to be heard twice in 50 years if you were to remember it after 50 years. Isn't that? The reason is very simple, because it's context dependent, it's intent dependent. Therefore, our idea of running the course on happiness is to make it more context dependent and go beyond content. We'll have some content, of course. We have our very prescribed content. But every content is based on some context. Therefore, it is a context-dependent science. And then we call it as a choice-based commitment. Why do we call it as a choice-based commitment? The reason because every student gets a subject out of compulsion. आप चाहो या ना चाहो, पढ़ना तो आपको पड़ेगा ही. बच्चे कहाँ पढ़ना चाहते हैं? आपको तो पढ़ना पड़ेगा ही, आप चाहो या ना चाहो. So we want to make it as a choice-based engagement, not a compulsion-based engagement. Because when you have got a choice, you do not have to depend upon somebody else's, directive, what to do and how to do. Like एक simple सा example देता हूँ. बच्चों को आप बोलिए बेटा ये काम कर ले. The moment you say it, there would be a resistance. क्यों करें? पर बच्चों को अगर ये बोले कि बेटा this is the job to be done, can you tell me how to do it? They will find a way. So the point is that when you make it as a compulsion-based engagement, there would be a resistance instead. And if you have to go beyond that resistance, you have to make it as a choice-based engagement. So we open it. And what really happens when we open it and don't force anybody to do that, it becomes Pandora's box. Like our Rajlakshmi, Professor Guha, she has a course on sports and well-being. We made it a choice-based commitment. We can take 80 students at best, but she has the registration over 200 plus. The question is, when you make it as a choice-based commitment, the engagement becomes far more reinforced. And the last thing I say, okay, it's an introspective science of mechanism. Neither we prescribe how to be happy, nor we describe who is happy. We are no good. Neither we prescribe how to be happy, nor we describe how to be happy. Every person has its own way of developing happiness. We respect that. If you want to be happy by listening to a song or a prayer, fine. If I am happy by doing something else, playing football, fine. So the idea is, if we can make it as an introspective mechanism, rather than a prescriptive mechanism or a descriptive mechanism. I hope the essence is clear. These are the 4 steps that we want. But having all these, this essence we have derived, don't think that I have done all this. As a team, we have thousands of discussions with Rekhi as well. And then my job was to translate that into a form so that it is communicable to each and every one of us. Next. So what I'm going to tell you that how science of happiness as a course we have developed. I'll not spend more time on that. I'll follow these guidelines. That what is the guiding philosophy? What are the guiding principles? What are the goals of this course? the content, the expected outcome, I mean, the books and references, projects and assignments, how we do it in IIT. Why it has become so popular in IIT. And the popularity has primarily derived because of the faculty members who have taken it up as a choice-based engagement. Some of them are electrical engineers, some of them are from management, some of them are from humanities, social sciences, some of them belong to this center as well. Everybody has come up and made it a point that, well, it is a subject matter close to my heart and slightly maybe away from head. So we never had a head and heart discrepancy for this subject matter. Next. So our guiding philosophy is that life is more important than career. And as I said, career is more important as long it is not helping you to survive it effectively. We say career is within life. Life is not within career. Life is much bigger. People have to understand how big is the life. Normally, it's the fault of the parents. They only say that beta तुमको class में first आएगा. Class में तो 100 बच्चा है, बच्चे हैं तो एक ही बच्चा ना first आएगा. But then why do we say this? आप किसी बच्चों को कहिए बेटा संभाल के जाना स्कूल. एक बार बोलिए संभाल के जाएगा, 3 बार बोलिए वो भूल जाएगा. So parents always say that beta class में first आएगा. So that loses its relevance. And our focus becomes more and more narrow. We forget that more than marks, we have a subject, more than subject, we have an institution, more than institution, we have got a nation, more than a nation, we have got a life for ourselves. So the bigger picture is always lost. We don't get the bigger picture. So the guiding philosophy is that life is more important than career. Second, as I said, context is bigger than content. Content becomes meaningful only when the context is given. That's why we do practicals in the classroom. Theory में तो पढ़ते हैं हम लोग. Then, as long we don't do practical, we do not realize the value of the theory. Isn't that? So, content matters only when we attach it with the context. Therefore, if we realize the value of the context, because practical comes at the end. Before the exam, you have some practicals, you get some marks, and then you complete your course. But I would like that why not we give context first, and then comes the content. Then we say attitude over aptitude. We all believe in intelligence. There's a huge misconception in this country that intelligent people can do everything. It's a huge misconception. Because we believe that intelligent people can do everything. Will be an excellent husband or excellent wife, will be able to do every social situation very well. I mean, they can handle any stress, they can solve any problem. That's a huge misconception. The right conception is that only average people can do it. Intelligent people can do certain things so well, better than average people, that we cannot compare ourselves. But average people can do so many things that the so-called intellectual people falter in doing that much what an average person can do. So the point is, as long as we do not have an attitude, we cannot be an average person. That's a huge quality, great quality. Unfortunately, in this country, every selection is made based on aptitude. So I reversed the situation in armed forces because I was in charge of recruiting all officers in Indian Armed Forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, including all special forces in the country by the Parliament. So I thought that by having only aptitude and intelligence, we cannot get a great warrior or soldier. We need more commitment. So pride is more important than prize. So this course will help us learn attitude, just not bank on aptitude. And then choice over compulsion. We already talked about it. If it is a choice-based engagement will never be forced to do something. If you make it as a compulsion-based engagement, we'll not be able to retrieve things how we should do it. Next. Yes. Yes.
Attitude over aptitude. Is it in sync with the things that is happening around us?
That's not happening. Nowhere. Nowhere you have got an integrity test. Nowhere you have got an attitude test. Nowhere you have got a test for which your mindset is known. Everybody is interested in knowing your mind, not your mindset.
How do we get the other part in sync with this?
That's a challenge. So in happiness, of course, we try to create a better attitude. So that even if someone is average with a, look, if you have a bad attitude and good aptitude, you will kill an organization. You will kill an organization. But if you have got good attitude, even if with a low, poor aptitude, you will make that organization. Nobody understands this value. We believe that we have to do this. So the course in happiness has a guiding principle that will make people's attitude better in sync with the attitude that you have just mentioned. So the next point is about the guiding principles. What would be our guiding principles? The guiding principle for happiness is that everybody thinks that the happiness is about peace, comfort, pleasure. We completely reject the idea. Happiness is about insight, orientation, and awareness. It helps us to innovate because it opens up our mental aperture. And if your mental aperture is open, then you absorb more material, you register more input, you process better, and you retrieve better. So our idea of happiness is to create more innovative power, more insight, more awareness, more reorientation, rather than to have more pleasure, more peace, more comfort. If you get it as a byproduct, we have got a problem. But if it is meant only for peace, comfort, and pleasure, then we don't stand in it. That's number one.
I missed it somewhere.
About,
like you said, about peace, pleasure,
and comfort.
Comfort. And then
We said peace, pleasure, and comfort. If it is secondary to our insight, orientation, and awareness, we have no problem. But happiness course cannot be aimed and guided primarily to achieve comfort, peace, and pleasure. We believe that happiness is a cognitive phenomenon. It develops us insight and intuition, innovative power. It helps us to open up our mental aperture. It helps us to absorb more such material which we have not seen earlier. But if it is only for pleasure and comfort, we'll be carefully careless about the stressful events. We'll try to avoid that. And we'll try to find pleasure only when I have a comfort.
Professor Mandal,
yes.
I have one question.
Yes.
I agree with you.
Yes.
But also because if you pursue happiness that way, then happiness will go away. But if you pursue the insight and awareness, then happiness will come and sit on your shoulders.
Yes, I think that's a way of understanding. Because you developed how you can be happy. The awareness is there. You do not have to follow certain paths as a passive organism. You are at the helm of the affair. You believe that, well, I have the insight. So our sages, gurus, they all had the insight. Once you develop that insight, it will help you in science also. It will help you in innovation also. It will help you in intuition also. Everything is possible. But if you only try to have comfort, then comfort zone is fine, but nothing grows there. Comfort is fine, nothing grows there. We do not want comfortable people. We want people who can actually make others happy. The second is about a lot of us are hovering around future and past. Yes, sure. Sir.
So developing insight and awareness, don't you think that it can also it's not often in sync with the societal norms?
Yes.
So it will often create conflict, and that might not lead to happiness. Because let's say I'm expecting something, right? But I'm also aware that I might not get it. But there is a conflict going on. And if let's say somebody who's like, let's get because of like don't touch me and you want to do or I did not. That's obvious one conflict. Despite I'm aware of the fact that there's something, some other means that somebody getting somewhere. Don't you think that that will create conflict and that might lead to unhappy state for me?
Yes, I think you're correct. Point is that conflict is such a thing where is the approach avoidance type of conflict. You want something, but you didn't get it. Insight will help you to resolve within yourself. Otherwise, you will have negative feeling for others all the time. And you would not be able to take any action for the other person. And that will kill you over a period of time that because of that person, I didn't get it. But if you are a forgiving type, you will unburden yourself easily. Otherwise, every day you are thinking about it. Some of your organ is getting disturbed in the process. You will kill one of your organ in this process. But the other person who got it, he is enjoying it. So the person who gets it, his job is to inject anxiety in you. And you remain a passive sufferer. And as long as you are a passive sufferer, you remain unhappy. But the best way to become happiness is to forgive others. That has a great unburdening effect. Otherwise, it will remain a pain. That's why we often say pain is inevitable, suffering is optional.
Maybe attributed to karma. I don't know if I'm mixing spirituality and happiness. Maybe attributed to
That's the problem.
Yeah,
That's another conflict. So I have done let's say many things to achieve that.
forget that that's like,
Pardon?
forget and forgive. That is the only way we can win it. So if you forget, you will not learn. Essentially, I'm talking about forgive. Then if you go out, you should understand as to why the other person have
Madam is saying that if something is there, we should try to resolve it. If we are not able to resolve it, then we should throw it.
But then
I think you had a point to make. Actually, there are many things we can't resolve. There are many things. And our happiness is not achieving a target. Because we believe that the moment you achieve a target, you become unhappy again. Okay. So, yeah, that's the reason we call it as a process. It's never a target, neither a destination. It's a process. And the process is, in this process, we have to maintain. That's why negative emotions are very important to be happy. We believe that we all want to be happy. But you can't be happy if a tiger is in front of you and if you smile. You will be eaten away. You can't be. So every emotion has its own color. I believe that if happiness has a center, why not sadness can also have happy, sad, fear, anger, surprise, disgust. Every color of emotion has its value in our system. Every emotion has its own value in our system. We are concentrating on happiness, that if we have to maintain happiness, we have to resolve conflict somewhere. And that resolution is possible. If it is not possible, forgive and forget. If it is possible, you resolve it, because that attitude will only help you grow. Otherwise, you can't be a passive organism. You have to be a very active organism. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Sir, is happiness and spirituality related in some way?
Look, spirituality is a much bigger thing. Our children are happy. They are not spiritual. Okay. So happiness is a phenomenon. And spirituality is a process which I mean, I can tell you slightly longer way. I tell it in this way. When input comes to you as in a formation, it becomes information. When information is processed, it becomes knowledge. When knowledge is utilized, it becomes experience. When experience is utilized, we get the truth. When truth is exercised, we understand that truth lies behind the fact. When truth and fact difference is understood, we develop wisdom. When wisdom is understood, we get bliss. As long you don't get bliss, you can't reach up to the level of spirituality. So bliss is a precursor to developing spirituality.
So, Professor Mandal, are you in bliss or are you in wisdom?
I'm still in knowledge. Still in knowledge. It's a long road to go, actually. It's an information to knowledge, to experience, to fact, to truth, to wisdom, to bliss, to ultimately spirituality. That's a long road to go.
Actually, I think, sir, that spirituality also gives happiness, because if you do some prayer, so that is one type of meditation, and due to that, happiness develops.
Well, why not? We all can try to be spiritual, even if we are unhappy. Even if we are unhappy. So the question is, are we trying to neutralize unhappiness? Are we trying to mask unhappiness? Are we trying to de-intensify unhappiness? Or are we trying to intensify unhappiness? The approach is more important. If my idea of developing happiness by becoming spiritual, of course, that's the right way to do that. But many people do spirituality to mask their problem.
Yes.
To mask their problem. That's the point.
And up to some extent that they are successful also. At least
Well, you
that
can
is
mask
resolved
it.
up to some extent.
Yeah, you go to Japan, they don't smile. When they smile, it's an expression of anger. I have long experience to be in Japan. I used to teach there in Kyoto University. So they smile means they are angry. So the question is that how they have understood the way to be happy is slightly culturally different from our kind of happiness, but they mask it. Their happiness is masked. Negative emotions are masked. That is, if they are angry, they are happy. So they utilize happiness to mask their negative. So if we use spirituality to mask our unhappiness, then probably we are in a wrong path slightly. But we can be happy slightly. Like if a bad odor is in my body, I can use spray and scent. It's somewhat like this. But anyway, we'll continue. So our idea of having this course is to create happiness than just to be happy. We have to be happy because as long as we are not happy, we cannot create happiness others. But our philosophy is that even if you are not happy, we can continue to create happiness, and the day will come when we'll find that we are in the ambience of all happy people around us. And we need to or will be forced to reciprocate happiness. And that contagiousness of happiness is very contagious.
That is true. There is one saying, sir, that if you are happy with yourself, you will be happy with the others.
Yes. It's very contagious. Very contagious. If you are happy, even in movie, if you see movie, if somebody is smiling, you are also forced to smile, and that is not because of our brain. It's because of our subcortical. There's a neuroscience behind it. I'll not go into that.
Sir,
Yes.
can I say something?
Yes.
Sir, in this context, I have a different interpretation. Like, so even if I'm not happy,
Mhm.
I want to be happy,
Yes.
and I just want the one context, the people around me to make myself happy, to distress my tension, so that I want to come out of that stressful situation or context and try to be happy, because my intention is to happy, so that I want to avoid that situation. And when I mingle with others in a new environment, not only I become happy, I can also get happy.
Yes.
So this is another interpretation.
That's another way of one can create happiness. So it's a choice-based engagement. That's why in
But
depression.
individually, I'm not happy.
Ah,
Maybe in one context.
that's the reason why in depression this method is utilized.
That
That
is a therapy, right?
yes, that's the therapy we have. That's a clinical science. We force depressed people to go into those zones because the moment you show your reciprocity in happiness by smiling, the necessary neurotransmitters from the brain will start releasing. There are four neurotransmitters: oxytocin, endorphin, dopamine, this, and serotonin. These neurotransmitters will start releasing the moment you smile. Even if you smile in mirror, they start releasing. That's why a lot of laughing clubs are there. They are indirectly trying to be happy, not direct. What I said from knowledge to bliss is a direct way. There's an indirect way of masking it and getting it. Text.
It's like fooling your brain.
It's like fooling
Fooling your brain.
Yes. You
Fooling
fool
that.
it. You fool it, but you fool your subcortex, not your neocortex. You fool your subcortex. Yeah, the little biology is in the limbic system actually. You fool your limbic system and neocortex takes charge. Normally in emotion, our lower part of the brain is active because the moment you said something wrong to me, I start reacting. And perception of that reaction gives us anger. It's not the anger first and the reaction later. It's the perception of our own body reactions give us the anger. Therefore, my mothers always say that if you are angry, count 1 to 10. All mothers. Isn't that? Everybody said. Why? Because by that 10 seconds, that message will percolate from limbic system, subcortex to higher center of the cortex. The higher center of the cortex, the job is to inhibit whatever the lower cortex is doing.
Maybe like distraction from the brain.
Yeah,
Send the
distraction.
information, right?
Yes, yeah. Count, and by that time the information will go. That's the reason our mothers, all our mothers, they do it. Well,
Sir, one more thing, sir.
Yes.
So when it is written like happiness is it's a process, not a target.
yes,
But all of our activities, happiness activities are goal oriented.
yes,
We cannot move on without any goal.
go.
But again, the nature of the goal and content of the goal that varies.
Yes,
Okay, so it is as that means it can be both process as well as the goal. So our life goals are there, and what type of goal we select, that depends on us. Whether it's a mundane goal, it's a incentive for financial incentive, monetary goal, or what type of goal that is. So happiness is the process of life achieving the life goals, but would be the type of goal that is different. So it is both the target, both the goal as well as process.
good point.
Sometimes we say that again there are hierarchies in happiness, level of happiness. So when we talk about self-actualization, it's the highest level now. When the people, the persons who achieve that stage, they think about the global people, that is global happiness, well-being, etc. So here the intensity, the hierarchy is very high. Sometimes when we achieve some kind of spiritual discourse, they say that being happy without any reason, that is enlightenment. Being happy without any reason.
Without having any goal.
And any reason that I'm happy today, I'm happy because I have achieved so and so, I've got these things, that things. So being happy because I learned from my guru that being happy is a state of mind, being happy without any reason. If somebody will ask you why are you happy, I don't know.
Because if you do not have a goal, then what really happens, you are never unhappy, because if you don't achieve it, you would not be happy,
Yes,
unhappy.
that is true.
And at the same time, if you are happy, you do not set a new target. But our way of looking at happiness is that it's both a goal and a process. The goal, the purpose of happiness is to make your goal enriched. So process of enriching the goal is actually the process of happiness. If your happiness is today for A, tomorrow you enrich it to B. Third day you enrich it to C. So this enrichment of goal is happiness, rather than fixing it onto A, B, and C.
At the same time, sir, when we talk about the equilibrium, maintain the equilibrium, balanced state of mind. So how to maintain that cool state of mind or equilibrium? That is also another, a skill that we need to learn. In spite of all these, shortcomings, ups and downs, chaos, all kinds of disasters, everything. How can when we talk about resilience?
Yes.
So that is again another
Maybe
mechanism.
5 to 6 when I have got this class on misconception of happiness, I'll talk all about this. Okay. So the goals of this course is that almost everybody is happy, but almost each one of us have got a lot of misconceptions in life. And we survive throughout our life through misconceptions. 5 to 6 today, I'll be talking about all those misconceptions which hinder us from being happy. If that misconceptions can be taken due care of through our courses, then children can be happy with the correct idea of what is the science behind it. So during that time, since I'll be talking, I'm not repeating it. Developing insight, managing failure. It's not about happiness only by developing comfort and peace. How do we manage failure? Life mein to, failure is obvious. Na? If there is a person who has never failed, probably the most unfortunate person in the world. Because failure gives us a route. Success gives us the wings. Choice is yours, whether you would like to have wing first, root later, or you would like to have root first, wings. The choice is ours. Failure gives us the root. Success gives us the wings. Therefore, when you succeed, you learn how to fly, but you forget many things. You publish a paper, the day you publish it, you forget it actually. Try to publish a paper, it has not been published, a lot of criticisms have come, you will remember it thoroughly. So I use this trick in interviewing professors. I don't ask any question what has the paper that has come back. I always ask those questions, the paper that is already published, because they fail to talk about it. So success will not help you ultimately. Failure helps us. And the failure, therefore, is always a learning experience. Children must understand that why failure is so important, because it gives us root. If somebody says that get your wings first, root later, it's a wrong way of leading life. Get your root first, wings later. That's the reason the course will help them learn why failure is so important. Why do we celebrate failure? Being in DRDO, I know how many missiles have been lost. And I was in charge of that institute. How many missiles we have lost? I remember a day when one of our Agni missiles was failed. I mean, it failed actually. Failed 3,000 crore worth of the missile. Failed. And Pranab Mukherjee, the then defense minister, wrote a congratulatory letter. A congratulatory letter telling that I congratulate you simply because you tried so hard. And you will succeed, no doubt. Within 6 months, Agni 5 came back and with a bang. The point is, bouncing back can be possible only through this understanding that, well, happiness is just not, or failure is just not about resentment. We should be able to gather more power if you fail. In armed forces, we say, if a soldier gets a bullet and he or she doesn't die, he must be stronger enough to face the second bullet. If the soldier, after getting the first bullet, survives and becomes afraid of the second bullet, he is no more a soldier. We don't call them a soldier. So we send them for all special operations, somebody who already got a bullet. That's the power of resilience, what Professor Mahathir was talking about it. That's the power of resilience, and that's possible only through realizing that why we should celebrate failure. So celebrating failure, also we teach. We take 4 or 5 classes on resilience and celebrating failure. And empowering new generation. The new generation is a better generation. We must realize that they know better than us. Okay, even in IITs, we find that in the class, many students say that, "Sir, जो किताब में है उसे छोड़." अगर किताब के बियॉन्ड कुछ पढ़ाना है तो बता दीजिए, और जो इंटरनेट में है लिंक बता दीजिए.
They say that.
Yes, they say this. So you have to engage them. And the engagement, we are not unhappy about it because you see the power of our children. And within that group, your child is also involved. Your child is not beyond that generation. They are more powerful. They are more capable. They have got more knowledge. But why do they come to us? The question then comes, why do we need a teacher? We need a teacher because teacher's job is to give a template of knowledge. That's why I said input information is called information. They get information, but they don't get input information. Our job is to give them the template. That's the reason our learning is top down. Their learning is bottom up. That's why a teacher is needed. So the idea of running this course is to empower this generation further, but not to distract them and disorient them. Because when they gather knowledge, instead of consolidating them, they actually come up with a lot of temporary files in their brain. You open up 10 different sites and you don't remember any. किसी से आप पूछ लीजिए WhatsApp में सुबह कौन सा मैसेज आपने देखा, कोई नहीं बोल पाएगा, नहीं बोल पाएगा. The कारण यही है कि idea is that we have got a lot of temporary files. We don't know how to consolidate it. A teacher is needed how to consolidate it. That's the reason. When they understand it, then the students say, आपने कुछ ठीक ही कहा. So, doing the right job and doing job right are two different right things. Next.
One more thing, sir, I would like to add.
Yes.
Our Vice Chancellor, ex-Vice Chancellor, now is Vice Chancellor of Delhi.
I know.
Professor Yogi Singh. You need to tell that one should know how to digest failure and how to digest insults also if somebody has insulted you. To become successful and to be happy also.
Yeah, that's true. Because ability to digest is only empowerment. If you are an empowered person, then only you will be able to digest it. Normal person, because it's animalistic. You touch an animal, the animal will quickly bite you back. But if you are a human being, you will be able to absorb it first. So, think first, do later, or do first, think later, are two different strategies in our daily life. How you do that? Idea is that think first, do later, rather than do first, think later. So, you see, we are not the only person who are teaching science of happiness courses. These are the different universities who are running it. I'll not go in great detail of it, but I have attached two photographs because I taught in both the institutions. The Harvard University as a Fulbright professor and UPenn University also as a Fulbright professor in two different times, of course. And I have seen how they teach. And much of our current information that I'm trying to percolate is also from those learning experiences, how they teach science of happiness. I don't know whether you have heard the name of Martin Seligman. So I had the opportunity to work with him also. And I have understood why this science is so important. But of course, I had gone for a different purpose. As I said, I'm a neuroscientist, neuropsychologist. But it was an opportunity for me to envisage all these activities. And today I'm here just to let you know. Next. So the questions that we are getting from our students. Some unknown territory. Is it a science or a practice? I mean, a lot of people ask this question. Does science explain happiness? Almost all our students ask this question. They tell me, everybody wants me to be happy. It's a practice. Why does the life science like? So that's a question. I'm not going to come for an answer for it. I'm telling you that in IIT, we follow a procedure. Every answer of mine must raise 10 questions. Then only it becomes an answer. Our answers are not to solve a problem. It's to generate more questions. It's like technology. Every new technology brings new ignorance, isn't it? Every new technology brings new ignorance. Therefore, if my answer doesn't raise more question, it cannot have a status of a good answer. So, question number one. Question number two, is it a genotype or a phenotype? Do we have a gene for happiness? Why some people are happy always? Attitude, but attitude, do they have a gene for attitude as well?
That it should be done.
Needs to be, so you call it as a phenotype.
Yes, I think so.
Then you call it as a phenotype. But there are, I'll suggest you to, maybe tomorrow I'll take one question on biology of belief. Why genes are important and how genes can be modified by your belief system. Tomorrow I'll take that class. Then the question is whether it is a process or an outcome. When do we feel happy? At what moment we are happy? Is it a memory or a moment?
It said that happiness is the state of mind.
So it's a memory or a moment?
Both. Just both. Memory also.
Moment also.
Moment I
Some moment. Sometimes we remember that memories also. I feel happy also many times.
So this is a big question. Actually, Daniel Kahneman got Nobel Prize on this question. Okay, in 2004. Because he also wrote, he is a marketing man actually, and behavior economics. This question came up. And when we purchase a product,
What's the name of the date card?
no. Daniel Kahneman. Daniel Kahneman, 2004, he got a Nobel Prize in behavior economics. But in the field of psychology, the question was whether when we purchase something, is it based on our memory or a moment? So he got Nobel on that, and naturally, this question also comes: happiness is a memory or a moment? Is it a thinking or blinking? But is it an intuition or an innovation? Innovation is a logical thought process. Intuition is an emotional process which is subconsciously going on in your mind. Is it unconscious? So blinking means something which is within. We don't know. We are not aware of it. Many of us learn through intuition. Or many of us learn through innovation. Innovation is a logical process. Intuition is an affective process, emotional process.
Something like revelation.
Pardon?
Revelation.
Revelations. So suddenly it pops up. It happens with all of us. Suppose you forget my name. You try to remember my name forcefully. You will not get it. Go to ashram, it will pop up.
Yes. Sudden.
Why does it pop up? So this popping up is intuition. So it's blinking. I call it blinking. It's not written in the book in this way. I call it blinking. So whether our knowledge, the way we acquire knowledge, does it come through thinking or does it come through blinking? I mean, whether we follow an innovative process or an intuitive process. And mind and mindset. What is more important?
mindset.
More important. Well, what is the difference? Now I'll take a 2 minutes break for having a discussion, not going out.
Mindset is attitude. Mind is attitude. That is
So why do we call it as a mindset?
because if you are having positive attitude, then you will be, the situation
Mindset.
is having two different approaches with your mind. If you are in a positive way to accept it, then you can be happy.
Yes.
Two sides of the coin. You can say.
Two sides of the coin, but the problem is that it's like husband-wife. There are two sides of the coin, but they don't see each other. So the problem is that mind and mindset, we all have got excellent mind. At times our mindset becomes problematic because mindset is groomed. And this grooming is done to have some quick solutions for all kinds of life problems. because you don't want to invest a lot of time for every kind of problem that you face. So what you do, you have a set of decisions in your hand. For example, अरे बंगाल जा रहे हो तो बंगाल में तो सब डरपोक है. It's a mindset. I have faced it because I have got 1.3 million soldiers. So I mean in the Indian Armed Forces. So I met varieties of people. अच्छा, आर्म फोर्सेस ज्यादातर कहाँ से आते हैं? ठीक है, हरियाणा, पंजाब हम और यूपी निकाल देते तो आर्म फोर्सेस 3/4 निकल जाए. बट ज्यादातर जो है हम पूछते रहते थे कि भाई why not some people from Bengal coming up, Assam coming up? So it's a mindset issue. Actually, there are representations from all states. All states. It's a mindset issue that some people are good, some people are bad, some people are not good at certain things. Some people said, oh, Bengalis are intellectually superior. I doubt it. I thoroughly doubt it. I mean, the doubt comes because when you go out, then you see it's the individual who is important. It's the individual. It's not that to which class, which creed, which culture, which religion you belong to. It's the individual. So we must respect the individual. So it's a mindset issue that we have certain solutions. Oh, from that state, it means there is something wrong. It's a quick fix solution.
Mindset or perception, we can say.
And how we perceive the situation. Next. So there are
what is important, mind or mindset?
mindset. Both are important because it's the two sides of the coin. We may have an excellent mind, like having good aptitude. But if you do not have good attitude as well, success will elude you. So it's nurture and nature. Both are equally important. We need to groom both. Something that is, nature gives us limit. And within that limit, you can nurture yourself limitlessly. That's important. How do you remember nature, nurture? Practice. Not, I'm primarily.
No, we have spoken about this many times.
It's interaction of mind and mindset.
Basically, it's insight.
It's the insight about the subject. I'm not a happiness scientist. I remember more of schizophrenia and depression and mania because I'm a specialist in those areas. I am a specialist schizophrenia diagnostician. So I remember those types. But teaching over a period of time, master का काम और क्या है? बात बेच के ही तो खाना है.
So I think mindset is more important than the mind because mindset has got three dimensions. It's a growth mindset or it's a rigid mindset. Whether it is an abundance mindset or it is a scarcity mindset. Or it's a positive mindset
Or
or
a
it's a
negative.
negative.
Yes.
So because of a mindset which is growth oriented, which is abundance and positive, you are able to see a plethora of avenues to reach your destination.
Yes.
So mindset to me is like a central nervous system. Mind to me is just like a brain.
Well, that's a way of looking at things. I believe that I would give equal importance, but at the same time, I can also say why average people can do much better because you have a lot of opportunity to enrich your mindset. You may have limited opportunity to enrich your mind, but abundant opportunity to develop mindset. So happiness is a course where we enrich mindset. We cannot change somebody's intellectual capability, what is there already within.
I think mindset is more important.
Important from our perspective, at least. We have to sell our subject now. Because we say that money cannot buy happiness. Today, through happiness, we buy a lot of money.
So mindset actually change. I think it's the key to life, having the right mindset. I think. Two people in the same situation, they may perceive the situations differently. So that's the key to being life, having the right mindset.
That's because the mindset changes because of the belief. Belief is a filter between what you see and how you see. It's a filter. Your belief, we call it primal belief. And primal belief means whether this world is good or bad. The world is divided. 50% says that the world is good, basically good. 50% says the world is basically bad. So it's a filter that creates a distinction between the reality and what you see and how you see. So it's how you see is a very important thing rather than what you see.
So when you say mindset is about
Yes.
grooming,
Yes.
so grooming is that we are grooming it for a better self.
Yes.
And like you've seen so many people have made mind is when you've seen average minds, you've seen best minds.
Yes.
So who is easier to groom?
Easier to groom if the mindset is better?
Yeah.
Of course.
So when we say okay, average people are good, it becomes contradictory.
No, it becomes facilitatory because average people have got a better mindset. Good people always think that they are better than others.
They have rejected.
They have a rigid mindset.
So average are easier to groom.
Average people are easier to groom. They are more valuable, more flexible. So if your child is average, I'm just giving you a reference because each one of us want our children to be very brilliant. I have found, because I have 40 years of my teaching, I have found the average performers in the classroom, they actually grow much better. 171 Nobel laureates के ऊपर Delhi University में काम हुई है. Only one person was a topper in the class. Only one person.
It's very difficult to teach in IIT Kharagpur. In IIT Kharagpur, you have best minds.
Best of mind for best attitude also.
That's why I'm asking this question.
Because a lot of people are economically so deprived. A lot of people, they are economically very deprived. And if you see the way they have grown, the way, it's the process because they have not come through genetic problems. I have seen their parents who do not even have got chappals. They come to get their students enrolled here.
Do you face difficulty grooming IIT people or you face difficulty grooming average student?
Look, in BHU, I was there for 15 years. I mean, the difficulty is much more here, much more, because you have to understand the idiosyncrasies of each and every child. Otherwise, they will sleep in the class. And that's enough, problem for me if someone is sleeping in the class. Good enough problem.
So that is important.
And that's important that people stay awake. One thing is that people stay awake. I mean, also it depends on the teacher. I have seen some of my teachers who never smiled in their lifetime.
Teachers are known to not smile.
Then आपने तो military को देखा ही नहीं. वहाँ तो कोई smile करता ही नहीं है.
Most will never.
They will never smile. एकदम iron faced. So दिक्कत तो है. I have seen one soldier. Before I go to the next slide, quickly बोल दूँ इस story को. मैं एक दिन सियाचिन में था. और one of my duty was to inspect things, how posts are working. So I had gone there around 90,000 feet पे हमारा एक lab. So I found a soldier is very depressed. I mean, picket में बैठा हुआ था, and the temperature outside was minus 25, 26 degrees. So I asked that boy that क्या हुआ बेटा आज कुछ ठीक नहीं लग रहा है, depressed लग रहे हो? बोले नहीं सर सब ठीक है सब ठीक है. मैंने नहीं है कुछ ठीक नहीं है तुम बताओ क्या प्रॉब्लम. बोले सर मैं केरला को बिलोंग करता हूँ और आज मम्मी की बर्थडे. मैंने कहा तुम क्या चाहते हो, लीव चाहते हो, छुट्टी चाहते हो? तो बोले सर आप बड़े ऑफिसर हो ना, आप दे सकते हो छुट्टी, पर ऐसा मत बुला करिए मेरे को क्योंकि ड्यूटी हमें करनी. that I taken aback. Actually. Then I said, क्या चाहते हो बेटा? क्या आपके पास मोबाइल होगा तो दे दीजिए, एक बार माँ को फोन कर दूं। तो मैंने दे दिया उसको, और वहां दौड़ने के लिए ना 19,000 फीट में आप दौड़ नहीं सकते हो। 10 मीटर जाने के लिए आपको कम से कम 10 मिनट समय चाहिए। I mean, it takes long time. दौड़ के गया बेचारा, 3 मिनट माँ से बात की उसने। दौड़ के वापस आ गया, क्या बस हो गया, तुम तो बात ही नहीं किए? बोले नहीं सर, आप इतना दे दिए हो ना, मैं बहुत खुश हुआ। वो स्माइल किया। आई विल नेवर फॉरगेट दैट स्माइल। आई विल नेवर फॉरगेट दैट स्माइल। तो ये जो इशू है ना कि आई मीन गेटिंग द राइट काइंड ऑफ हैप्पीनेस and coming out of the conflict that you say, okay, duty, family, and career, how to get rid of it is challenging life. That's the challenge. Agar a challenge na ho, and we are always happy, we'll become stale. मर जाएंगे हम सब।
Yes, that's why, sir, it is a saying that happiness or unhappiness is the state of mind of rich people. Otherwise, you labor people, they are never unhappy, they are always happy. Because they are always busy for their livelihood. So,
एक स्टोरी और सुनानी पड़ती। एक दिन मैं आ रहा था ऑफिस से, एक ऑफिस में मैंने तुमको बताया स्टोरी। तो लाल बत्ती देख के एक रिक्शा वाला जो है रोज मेरे को सर पड़ता रोज। तो एक दिन क्या हुआ, छुट्टी वाले दिन रहा, मैं वॉक कर रहा था डिफेंस कॉलोनी के भीतर, तो रिक्शा वाला दिख गया मेरे को। मैंने पूछा इसको कि क्यों आज रिक्शा नहीं चला रहा हूँ? बोले बाबूजी आज हम 600 रुपया कमा लिया। 600 रुपया कमा लिया तो क्या हुआ, तुम थोड़ा अभी दिन है, अभी थोड़ा और कमा लो, कल के लिए सोलित हो जाए। बोले बाबूजी तो आपका सोच है, नहीं तो नहीं सोचना पड़ता। Be another story. As long as you don't tell these stories, students will not be getting the essence behind it. Otherwise, it all jargons. So it's a context-dependent thing. So classroom में जो है, we need to be more context-dependent. That's why. Anyway, I'll not spend more time because students will.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, adding to this point, we all have heard that ignorance is bliss. Then developing this insight makes us more evolved and more aware of our problems. But if we are ignorant, that's just bliss anyway.
Look, ignorance is like if you are a sighted person, keep your eyes closed. That may not be the right way of coping with the environment. Right way to cope with the environment is that you see, you get the threat, you feel the stress out, and then absorb it, adapt it, and then come out of it. There lies the joy. If I don't face any challenge, then it's no life. It becomes life has to have challenges, and I'm sure each one of us has got challenges. ऐसा कोई नहीं है इस रूम में, कहीं नहीं है जिनको कोई चैलेंज नहीं फेस करना।
that's why it is one saying, we live in deeds, not in years.
Yes, we live in deeds. आप करते क्या हो उसमें ना लाइफ डिपेंड
So it's a lot, it's got a lot, the larger perspective as in the example, if you're always ignoring things, then you actually, it's actually opposite, ignorance in the place. But in real life, if you keep ignoring, you are keep feeling about stuff, right? So, आज ना तो पानी नहीं है, कल भी नहीं है, नहीं. If you keep ignoring, you can't survive actually. You keep cribbing, you keep having negative thoughts, like आज यहाँ की यूपी खराब है, स्थिति आज यहाँ दिल्ली खराब है, तो हमारा क्या है, हम तो टीचर हैं, हम पढ़ा रहे हैं. I have to just focus on the student. I am ignoring the thing. But actually, these are all part of our society, so we cannot completely ignore.
We can't completely ignore. No, but what she is saying, there are people who are carefully careless, always about this. So they also live a life, but a still life. There are people.
They know they're very happy. Yeah, exactly. Very happy. Very happy. Yeah.
Ignorant people have got a lot of happiness, but it's like you can see everything, but you have never seen a good flower.
Yes.
It's something like that.
They are like very happy, very satisfied with themselves, and then they are not probably see what the true life or true. I would say it is just more in the context of ignorance is bliss in the term that you can be a good learner then. Like if you have that, like I don't know much, so that will lead you to the path of learning. Maybe that's why they say
If we are ignorant and if we try to get rid of it, it's a better choice rather than remain ignorant. Reason being that then we may be getting only one life. And why not get all colors of emotions? Why we should be happy only? My challenge is something different. Why we should be happy only? Let us have all spectrums of emotions. Happy, sad, fear, anger, everything is important for me. That gives us a full life. But
Manas sir,
Yes.
sorry for the interruption. I think Professor Sailendra Singh is with us. So could we take the opportunity of briefly requesting him to say a few words?
Sure.
So Professor Singh, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Professor Singh was the director of IIM Ranchi and now at Lucknow.
I'm very happy to be part of this workshop, and I have been instrumental in introducing this subject at IIM Ranchi, and I'm trying to establish it at IIM Lucknow. And wish all the very best to this workshop.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words. And I'm sure that Rekhi sir would like to respond to your
Yes.
initiative of.
Thank you, Professor Patnaik, Professor Mandal, and Rekhi ji, your person. Because my bandwidth is very low, I'm working from home. That's why I did not switch on my camera. But I'm.
Rekhi sir, would you like to respond to this?
Shailendra ji is a friend. I really admire him, and I've known him for some time. And thanks to Tanusri for introducing me to him. I just recently met him in the Noida campus also, where we did a session. So I'm very, very flattered that he has joined that session today here. Thank you, Shailendra ji.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
So in 10 minutes, we would like to, we had many things to say actually, but since the next session is there, I would like to gloss over the slides, some slides more, because how we have structured the syllabus. And then if there is a question, we can actually get back later on. Can you go to the next slide? Well, we run 6 courses. We have 2 flagship courses. The Science of Happiness and Gross National Happiness. Science of Happiness is primarily by Professor Patnaik, and of course I also teach. Gross National Happiness is primarily taken care of by Professor Chetri. And there are 4 more courses which we started from 2018 onwards. Professor Mahanti, Professor Rajashmi Kohar, they are all taking these courses. Happiness at work, consumer happiness, sports and well-being, and measurement of happiness. There are several topics we have been teaching. These are 6 different courses. I will not go in great detail. And when they get chance, they will be speaking what courses they have been taking up. I just wanted to give you a gross glimpse of what we are taking up. And what are the topical areas that we are taking, that also. You will get all these slides. So there's no point in spending time in writing. We'll get you everything. Next slide. So quickly see our course content. We teach evolution and primal belief, how happiness is evolved. So the expression of emotion in Man in Animal by Charles Darwin, 1876. That book, from that book, we have started learning how it has evolved. Then how brain responds to happiness, the social cognition and happiness. So we teach neuroscience, emotional intelligence and well-being. The Daniel Goleman's, I'm sure you are slightly aware of it, the emotional intelligence as a concept. Optimism and optimism bias. Why optimism is not good? And why it is good. I'll get a chance tomorrow to tell you about optimism. Affect computing, and empathy, that how our expressions of happiness, the micro expressions, how we can create it's a sort of artificial intelligence kind of work, that how we can detect somebody's emotion at a subliminal level, which is below 200 milliseconds. How we can detect that process. We teach relationship and communication, that is betweenness and withenness. Take the room. So we teach nonverbal communication. We teach failure. Harvard Business Review has a book on it. We teach nudge and decision making. We teach assistive technology, how we can create happiness for others. That is for handicapped people, for people those who are disadvantaged, geriatric people. A lot of engineering students are engaged here also to create those systems which can create mass happiness for others. So assistive technology, we teach it in big way. We also teach happiness in India and abroad. You all know India ranked very low in our happiness, very low. And we challenge the methodology, we create the documents, we give it in the form of project to the student. So these are the courses generally I teach. So how to engage students? We have a policy. And how to rewire the brain. Barking dog versus wise owl. But which is same like impulse versus action. That is, how to think first, do later. How to get into the flow. How to slow down within the classroom so that students can notice you. How quiet time can help them in consolidation. How humor can reassure your attachment. But a lot of times humor becomes very aggressive humor, social embarrassments. But I'm talking about affiliative humor. So how humor can help us in engaging students. How communication helps. Communication is a very important thing. Our facial expressions, our eye contact, our gestures, our sitting postures, our body movements, everything matters. Everything matters. How we share our experience, life experience. We give stories. How walk the talk. Why students learn much more when the class gets over and they come आपके पीछे पीछे आ जाते हैं कुछ सवाल पूछ लेते हैं. So that's the best way to learn at times from the talk. How they can become a leader by virtue of becoming a hidden person. The power of anonymous work. I call it a random act of kindness. How senseless act of beauty can be. That you do something for someone, forget it. Don't try to realize that somebody will come and say, very good, very good. It has been found in blood bank that if you are asking students to donate blood, there will be more students. If you are asking students to donate blood and get some money in lieu of it, you get 60% less. It's called random act of kindness or senseless act of beauty. So these things, we give it in projects. Next. These are the expected outcomes. I'll not go in great detail about it because we have lost some time. We'll give you all those slides. If there is any point to discuss, we'll later on discuss about it. Next. These are the projects we give, small projects within the class. Random act of kindness, gratitude visit and diary, first time care homes. There are a lot of foster homes in old age homes, how they can connect people through FaceTime, not have to go visit them. skill sharing, nudging, social innovation, mindfulness exercises, recycling and green initiatives, have inspiring images. You get those images which you believe that is really striking. So they do photography. So they can do everything in the classroom. But if they want to take it in research, they can go to the next slide. These are the research topics. The cell phone attachment reduces social interaction. Or social media affects perception of happiness. Because you don't see people happy, you only write messages. Facial happiness can be modeled computationally. Optimist students perform better in examinations. May not have that mindset. Handicapped people are happier than otherwise. Why? They're always much more happier than able people. Why? Older people are happier than millennials. Why millennials are unhappy? Why older people are happy? Older people are happy in joint families because we can tell stories. And if we don't get people to tell stories, then we find difficulty. You will slightly realize my problem.
So you're making me hold time again. He may not agree with you.
No, I'm not considering. I always see some degree of wisdom, so I'm making
So he's some degree of wisdom. That's why it's called you.
So these are the assessment procedures. We have the assessment procedure as well. I'll get you everything next. So now back. Now these are our long-term missions. The long-term mission is to cultivate scientific perspective of happiness in research, practice, academic program, and outreach. These are our long-term perspectives, which Dr. Rekhi wanted that we must continue. What he said in the morning that we wanted to populate this message to many institutions, we'll do it. And the way we should do it, that's a challenge for this core group, the network of networks. That's the core group. In engineering science, we've said system of systems. So if we have to go for system engineering kind of approach, then we have to have a better system. And that's the mission. The second mission is that we'll create value for happiness in the community, academia, workplace, everywhere. If we fail to create it, then simple teaching doesn't mean anything. We have been teaching our children, who is listening to us. The question is, we have been teaching every day. So we have to create value for it. We have to create value not for the valuables. We have to create value for the values. So that value is more important rather than valuables. And we have to network happiness task force across the world. And there are so many institutions today we have throughout the world. If we can develop a very good network, of course, this center, the Center for Science and Happiness, will be good for. I have given some reference books next, and I mean what these books are telling all about. I've given a small write-up in that. You please go through. If you find that you need to ask more questions, I'm happy to answer for it. I'm slightly hurriedly doing it because next session will start next, and there are TED Talks as well. A lot of TED Talks I have also given. You can follow those TED Talks also. In the slide, if you click it, you will get the actual talks and you can follow those TED Talks as well. This is what I wanted to tell you in the format of the science of happiness, that how we follow it. But that doesn't mean that each one of us will follow the same format. It's your liberty, it's your institution, it's your idea. I mean, it needs to be fostered by your own thought process rather than as we tell it to our children, you do this and then fail to do it. They resist. We do not want that kind of environment. Everyone should have the liberty to grow it in their own way through their institutional visions. So that vision needs to be enriched. Only the pathway we are interested in telling it. If there are any questions, I can answer it quickly. Then, of course, somebody can take care for the next session.
Thank you very much.
Very good session, Professor Mandal. I think it was excellently done. Congratulations. I enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you, sir. Is many of these words are from you. So without reference, I did it. No scientific.
It's nice to hear your own words.
We discuss a lot. I mean, when we discuss, we don't discuss less than 45 minutes over phone. So that gives us a lot of thought process, how to go about, how to take it forward. What are the missions, how we should go about, what are the spirit behind, and why we should do it. We are not doing philanthropy. It's no philanthropy. We are trying to reach to the community through little bit that we have earned in terms of knowledge, in terms of money, in terms of some assets. Let it be shared, because it's time to give, not to take.
There is one saying, that's a contentment is the best way of getting it.
Of course, if you are content, and through that process, we want to be happy.
Santosh Param Sukham.
All kinds of projects, generally students come up after they listen to all these now. One student, for example, came up with a project that I'll nudge the students in the hostel how to keep their cycles in order. So nudging is a principle. Nudging, you understand, nudging is a process which is a small act. I mean, you don't force the options, you don't force them to take the options away. Like Tanusri once gave me one nudge that how to keep the hostel kitchens clean. I mean, students, they take food, move away. So a photograph has been pasted in the kitchen that a rat is taking food from the dish that you have left. So that gives them a message that, well, we should not leave it like this. We should throw it in the proper trash bin. So, if you have to keep everything in a proper place, don't trash it here and there. Don't write that keep the environment clean, be a good boy. Instead, you say that your hostel friend is doing better than you. So you create an envy with your neighbor and then force them to do something. So this is a nudging principle. So people do nudging, people do all kinds of gratitude visit, people do all kinds of activities. And we form syndicates, I mean some groups, they do it in groups. If I have got 100 students, we have got 20 groups. And we allocate them in projects. And once the projects are allocated, they perform it. And then they present their project. 40 marks, I mean, 40% of the marks are on projects. So it's more context dependent and performance based rather than what they have written in the exam.
Thank you, sir. So if there are no questions, we will break for 15 minutes and then we will start with Sandhu sir's session after that. So we might resume the session at 11:40 because we have taken a little time. So with everybody's kind consent,